Tesla is a very unusual stock to own. Most people who are dismissive of the company don't seem to understand why those of us who love it are shareholders. They will say things like China has better EVs, sales are flat, profit is only declining, or they just hate Elon Musk. To me, holding Tesla means boarding a ship led by today's most visionary and effective captain, going on an adventure to change the world, whilst generating enormous value along the way. As we go through their Q4 results, I will attempt to marry the hardcore financials of today with the adventure of the future. I'm currently working on a financial forecast model to give you a share price corridor, which I will share in another video. For now, and as you can see in my weekly news videos, my opinion is that the stock at $430 is trading a bit above their average earnings to price ratio of the past, so on the expensive side. But in this volatile world, we probably don't have to wait long for a buying opportunity. So let's start with the results they posted. All figures are GAAP figures unless mentioned otherwise. Revenue landed at 24.9 billion, which is down 3.1% versus Q4 of last year. And if we look at the operational drivers, you can see this is mainly due to a decline in vehicle sales from 496,000 to 418, partially offset by higher energy deployments. Vehicle sales are down for several reasons. The 7.5K clean vehicle tax credit in the US ended after September 30th, 25, which pulled forward a significant amount of demand to the previous quarter, as you can see in the record figures of 497,000 vehicles delivered in Q3. Furthermore, there's increasing competition, mainly from China, and negative sentiment towards Elon certainly doesn't help. This chart shows the revenue split over the same period between vehicle sales, regulatory credits, energy deployments, and services and other. Regulatory credit revenues are emission credits that Tesla earns for having a fully electrical fleet offering, which it sells to other car manufacturers who need to offset their emissions coming from vehicles with internal combustion engines. Services and other mainly include revenue from their supercharger network, insurance underwriting, FSD or full self-driving, and other subscriptions, and now Robotaxi, which the CFO mentioned only generated very modest revenue. As you can see, energy is becoming an increasingly important part of their revenue, and regulatory credits in light blue are relatively minor. Moving down the P&L, in this chart you can see the gross margin percentage of their different business lines, excluding regulatory credits. Their energy business has a very interesting margin profile compared to their vehicle sales. Looking at the absolute gross profit generated, so revenue minus cost of revenue or cost of goods sold, you can see that the picture shifts quite significantly. Energy has become a much bigger share due to its higher gross margin percentage. And the effect is even more pronounced for regulatory credits, because they are essentially pure profit. Here you can see the share of each in terms of revenue and gross margin for Q4 side by side. Quite a striking difference in the impact on the bottom line. Operating expenses have been increasing, both absolute and as a percentage of revenue, as Tesla continues to invest in current and future businesses. I don't see this decreasing anytime soon, given their aggressive expansion plans. To round out the P&L, here you can see the operating margin over the same period. You get operating margin by taking revenue and deducting cost of revenue and OPEX and expressing the result as a percentage of revenue. As you can see, their operating margin trend alone wouldn't want to make you put all your life savings into Tesla stock. The GAAP P&L contains a lot of elements that are not actually cash impacts in the period, such as depreciation and share-based compensation. In this chart you can see the cash flow generated by operations and the money they spent on capital expenditures or Capex. Operating cash flow corrects the profit for all the non-cash expenses in the period, as well as changes in the balance sheet positions, such as inventory and accounts receivable and payable that have an impact on the company's cash position. The way to read this chart is the light blue line indicates the amount of cash Tesla generated in the period from its operations, and the dark blue line is the Capex line, indicating how much money they have reinvested in the business. Tesla has invested $8.5 billion over the past 12 months through Capex, mainly on their factories. If you take the dark blue line here, the money generated, and deduct Capex, money reinvested, you get to a metric called free cash flow, or FCF, which is the money that the business has left after all expenses to run and grow the company are taken into account. In this chart, you can see the FCF in dark blue. As the company generates FCF, it accumulates cash, which is represented in the light blue line. Tesla ended Q4 with a cash and short-term investment balance of $44.1 billion. One of the reasons that Tesla's cash generation looks a lot better than their profit is the fact that they can take advantage of a very high stock price by rewarding their people with share-based compensation, without having to issue shares at a magnitude that would massively dilute existing shareholders. Here you can see the quarterly amount of share-based compensation they reported. Since share-based compensation is not a cash expense, but it is recognized in GAAP profitability figures, it has an impact on profitability, but not on cash flow. We'll now turn to all the details given in their investor deck and earnings call, which will give you a very concrete picture of the company's vision, which, like I mentioned, is a real reason why most people hold Tesla stock, as opposed to the financials I've just shared. Let's start all the way zoomed out with the updated mission. Here's what Elon had to say about it in the earnings call.
We've updated the Tesla mission to amazing abundance. This is intended to send a message of optimism about the future. With the continued growth of AI and robotics, I think we actually are headed to a future of universal high income, not universal basic income, but universal high income. That is what I see as the most likely outcome. If you could say, what is the best future you could possibly imagine? I guess it would be that everyone can have whatever they want, including amazing medical care, but we still keep, the beauty of nature and Earth. And we're seeing obviously the first steps along that way this year for Tesla as we increase vehicle autonomy and begin to produce Optimus robots at scale.
So the mission of Tesla is to lead the realization of this vision of amazing abundance through their businesses of clean energy, autonomous vehicles, and robotics. Looking a bit closer at Automotive. Preparations continue in North America for the production ramp-up of Tesla Semi and Cybercab, both starting production in the first half of 2026. Semi is Tesla's commercial truck that has a range of 500 miles on a single charge, with the first trucks bought by Pepsi. The reason Tesla got into semi-trucks is because it is about 20% of US emissions. Here you can see the charging network they're planning to roll out for the Semi in 2026. Cybercab is fully optimized to achieve the lowest possible cost per mile when deployed into the Robotaxi network. It has no steering wheel or pedals and will thus be fully autonomous. One of its key features is that it's designed to make cleaning of the interior as efficient as possible, as this is a major cost component in a taxi network and cleanliness is high on the list of customer satisfaction. They're hoping to show the next generation Roadster in April. They've admitted in the past that the Roadster is not really a strategic priority, which is why it has been delayed. But over the past months, Elon has been hyping the car with quite strong claims, reiterating again in the earnings call that it will be out of this world. I would be very surprised if he would set expectations too high, so I think we can look forward to something pretty cool. They also mentioned that Model S and X will be wound down next quarter, and that the freed up space in the factory in Fremont, California will be used for Optimus. Last year, Tesla launched their Robotaxi network in Austin, Texas and San Francisco. Robotaxi is essentially Tesla's Uber app, but using a fleet of Tesla cars that are all driving autonomously, so without a driver. As they launched Robotaxi, they started with a safety monitor in the passenger seat to make sure the rollout progressed without safety incidents. On January 22nd, Elon posted that they removed the safety monitor from some of their cars. And in the earnings call, he mentioned that since the day before, January 27th, they don't even have a chase car anymore. No one is following the car. So essentially, the realization of full self-driving. Furthermore, they indicated that the Robotaxi app no longer has a waiting list. As mentioned, the Cybercab shown before has been designed specifically to build this fleet of cars that Tesla is planning to scale aggressively in size and geographically within its Robotaxi network. Elon indicated that the Robotaxi network today contains well over 500 vehicles and he expects that it is going to double every month, hoping to be in dozens of major cities by the end of the year. Here you can see the list of cities they are expecting to launch in the first half of 2026. The eventual goal is that anyone will be able to add their Tesla to the Robotaxi fleet and earn money. Today, people only use their cars for 10 hours or so per week on average, and Elon mentioned that he expects people will eventually be able to more than offset their leasing cost with Robotaxi income if they add their car to the fleet, essentially getting paid to own a Tesla. As shown, energy is rapidly becoming very important to Tesla's gross margin, and Elon mentioned during the call that they foresee very high growth to as far into the future as we can imagine, and that the vision is solar and battery on Earth and solar in space. The objective is to scale up to 100 gigawatts per year of solar cell production, integrating across the supply chain from raw materials to solar cells. The CFO further mentioned that their biggest constraint globally today is on their battery packs, which is why they are integrating vertically with the lithium refinery we discussed last week and the usage of their in-house produced 4680 battery cells. Elon's mention of solar in space probably refers to his plans for putting AI compute in space powered by solar panels. We go into this in some detail in the weekly news video of week 4, so you can check that out if you're interested. Finally, they plan to start production of Megapack 3 and Megablock in the first half of 2026. Moving along to Optimus, Tesla's humanoid robot. They plan to unveil their Gen 3 version in Q1 of 2026, and in the words of their CFO during the call, it looks like a human, people could easily be confused, it is a human. The man looks like a rather down-to-earth figure, so I'm really curious to see what it looks like. Gen 3 is their first design meant for mass production, with the start of production planned before the end of 2026, and eventual planned capacity of 1 million robots per year. Elon gave some more context, adding that it is an all-purpose robot that can learn by observing human behavior. You can show or describe a task, or even showing a video, and it will be able to perform the task. Elon also mentioned that they expect to increase headcount, so no layoff plans linked to automation. On the impact of Optimus, he went as far as to say that it will ultimately move the needle on US GDP. Elon has mentioned several times over the past months that he's spending a lot of time on Tesla's next generation application-specific integrated circuit, or ASIC chip, called AI5, which should be about a 50x improvement over their current AI4 chip. He explained in the call that he tends to spend time on the things that are most critical to the progress of the company, and that he now spends his Saturdays and half the day on Tuesday on it. When asked by an investor if he would consider selling their chips to other companies, he indicated that over time, chips will probably become the limiting factor, as it will be used in all of their products and in the orchestration of their fleet of products. He even said that they calculated that the maximum capacity of all their suppliers, such as Samsung and TSMC combined, will in time not be enough to meet their demand, and that they will likely need to build their own terafab, which is a massive in-house semiconductor fabrication facility in the US. He also mentioned that this would help to build resilience into Tesla's supply chain in the case of geopolitical issues, which he mentioned he thinks people might be underweighing. Finally, they announced that on January 16th, Tesla entered into an agreement to invest approximately $2 billion to acquire shares in xAI in their latest financing round. Tesla and xAI also entered into a framework agreement in connection with the investment. In a nutshell, Tesla will try to leverage xAI wherever possible to advance their operations. According to the latest estimate, xAI is valued at over $200 billion, so the investment will not be more than 1% of the company. Here's two examples Elon gave on the way in which Tesla could leverage xAI by using Grok as the orchestra conductor. For example, by maximizing the efficiency within their large autonomous Robotaxi fleet, and, as a theoretical example, managing a fleet of Optimus robots to build a rare earth ore refinery. Finally, the CFO mentioned that all of these plans will result in a big Capex year in 2026, with in excess of $20 billion in spend. Remember that over the past 12 months, Capex was about $8.5 billion, and their cash from operating activities was about $14 billion. This spend would mostly go to 6 new factories, building AI infrastructure, continued investing in existing factories, and further expanding the fleet of Robotaxis and Optimus. To summarize, I would say that the team seems motivated and on track to deliver on their projects. One thing I would like to address is the fact that Elon tends to overpromise and underdeliver on timelines. Now, this is generally a bad thing, since expectations are not met. My personal experience is that when you try to achieve something in a business, there will always be blockers and delays. However, the higher you aim, the more you will get done, because high targets create a sense of urgency and engagement within an organization. Elon has called this working with a sense of extreme urgency. In the end, the competitor might promise 50 and deliver 50, whilst Elon promises 250 and delivers 150. Does that mean Elon is off by 40%? Yes, but it also means he achieved 200% more than the competition. If you do this for long enough, the results compound, and we might actually end up with amazing abundance. Like I said, I will be working on a detailed financial forecast model for Tesla so that I can give you guys a stock price corridor. I will try to post it as soon as I can somewhere in the next few weeks. I'm still very excited about the future of Tesla, and I think this year is going to be a huge turning point with the rollout of the Robotaxi fleet and the start of production of Optimus, as well as the continued drive behind their energy business. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. These are just my opinions. Please supplement them with your own research before making an investment decision.